Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Skagit Storytellers. This is not a new episode, but it is a new intro. Cascade Cody is doing a lot of really cool stuff right now, and I'm really bad at time management. So I wanted to re-release his episode just in case you haven't heard it, and I wanted to add a few things in the intro that weren't there before. So he's got a bunch of new stuff happening. So Cody's been working with Tim Meckling, and they recorded an EP called Satan Lives in Candy Bars, and it comes out on the 13th, Friday the 13th, and the new single just came out. The single's great because there's a video that goes along with the single, and it was filmed 10 days ago in a church in Bellingham. So a bunch of us went up there, wore our Sunday best. We recorded a video. Clay did such a great job filming and directing everybody and editing. It's fantastic. So I'll put a link to the video in this description. I'll also put a link to the pre-sale for the cassette and CD. That's right, Cody's releasing his EP on cassette and CD through Washington's Records. And I believe if you pre-order, you also get a free sticker. So make sure you do that. And the cassettes are only $13, and so are the CDs. So I got one of each, and I can't wait to play it. That's why I wanted to re-release Cody's episode. He's just great. I think that more people should hear it. So Cody has a bunch of stuff going on. He has a bunch of shows coming up. The two that I'm excited about are Barley and Brew at, Friday coming up. So Barley and Brew on Friday. And then he's playing at Temperate Habits on the 13th, the night of his release. And then on the 14th, he's playing Bird's View. So he's got a lot of great shows coming up, and I think I'll be at least a couple of those. So make sure you say hi. My trivia is coming up October the 7th, this Saturday, from 7 to 9. And the cool thing about my trivia, it's not only going to be fun, of course. I'm showing clips from Hawkett, a horror movie that was filmed in concrete. The director, AJ, is also going to be hanging out with me at trivia night. Gretchen and Sherry are going to play some awesome songs. But after trivia from 7 to 9 at the theater, you can go to Rockport and see Zach Michaud. Zach Michaud is playing at Rockport, I believe at 8 o'clock. So once trivia is done, we can just take all the trivia people and go over to Rockport to support Zach. And I believe it's his daughter's birthday, so happy birthday to Sadie. All right, Cascade Cody, trivia. That's it. I'm going to cut it short. I'm really tired. I want to go to bed. My radio show is so much fun tonight. My radio show so you're listening to this Wednesday, so in 6 days, my guest on my radio show is going to be Victor Simpson, who also goes by DSer, and I play his album a lot. So I'm excited for him to be on the radio with me. And thanks again for driving all the way out there, Victor. I'll see you next week. And next week, I will also have a brand new episode of Skagit Storytellers. And if I don't, I'm probably going to have a really good excuse. So anyway, that's it from me. Have a great week. And as always, go do something hard.
Howdy, partner. Welcome to one of the most northern parts of the United States of America. Travel with me upriver as we talk to a bunch of ladies and fellers and they share their tales of wit and wisdom. That's right, it's time again for Skagit Storytellers with Liz Rankin.
They're live music junkies just like you. Only like you're a junkie for everything else.
It is
seems
like
yeah.
Yeah.
Not everything. I'm not like trying to say like Liz is in the corner over there jonesing. No.
But when I like something, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. Why not go all in?
And that's the crazy thing about this area. It's like I feel like I'm learning to be human again. In that way of like just being able to see people here relax. They live in the moment. They're ready to go.
But what else is there? Like where'd you come from?
I come from Eastern Washington where people go to work and go home.
That's it.
That's what it seems like they do. Or like you go to a bar. Like I didn't go to bars because like bars in Eastern Washington are like
the hub.
Dark. No, they're not like the hub.
Just joking.
The hub was nice, man. I got to go over there right after the show. Yeah, you were over there. You were up in Rockport, I guess.
We left and went. Well, because Zach was playing, and I'm like, let's just catch the last two songs. We'll come right back to the hub.
I love Zach.
Zach played for probably an hour and a half after we got there,
That's what I love about it. If you give that guy an inch, he will go a mile, absolutely. And just he is so himself just
Yeah.
at every moment. And
Well, like he said, he's like,
he's one of my favorite
I'm an
people.
attention whore. So
Yeah.
people were paying attention to me. So I wanted to keep going. And my buddy Trevor had never seen him. And he was like, this guy's incredible. And he just kept playing all these crazy mashups. But he would like twist them a bit. And at one point, there were a couple of ladies, I think, single up front dancing. And he shouted out a cell number, and I checked my phone. I went, that's his cell number. So I don't even think they wrote it down or anything. But and then there was this guy, speaking of weddings, there was this guy after, and he goes, oh, my God, I want him to play at my friend's wedding.
Right.
So.
Now, and that's the great thing about Zach, too, is how much of a showman he really is. He's really just so underrated and undervalued, underappreciated in the aspect of he can be placed in any situation, any time and space, and I feel that natural entertainer just comes out in him, and he kills it every time. He has a joke for every situation.
We were talking about
and I've only met the guy once, and I know this about him.
Oh yeah,
I have major admiration for a guy, a fellow that does 100 shows a year.
Yeah,
goes out, just plays, and still would have the vigor to go out there at Rockport and after his regular set be like, oh, I'm feeling it, I'm gonna play an hour and a half. That's somebody that just does it because they love it. And
and it was, and I mean, you could tell it was worth it. Like, people kept coming up and scanning his QR code, and
that's the best thing about Rockport. It's one of the best venues to play in that aspect. Is they are so appreciative when you're there.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, and I'll go there and I'll play anything from like old jazz. I'll play Irish music.
Yeah,
and you can play there for 3 hours, and they make it worth it for you.
How many times have you played there?
I played there twice.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I played there about 2 years ago, and then I was supposed to play there 3 times, but I had car trouble getting up there, and I'm like, I don't want to be stuck up and then going to Rockport, in November. Not that the people upriver are bad. It's just you don't want to be stuck up on that road in November.
Not at all.
Yeah.
Well, and when did you? So I thought you just moved here last year.
I did, but I've been playing in Skagit for the last 3 years. It's
so
the reason why I moved
up
here.
Oh, okay,
yeah,
okay.
I was doing a 5-hour drive from Eastern Washington because literally I was getting booked more in Skagit than any other place.
I didn't know that. Okay.
In the state, and that's kind of like my drive. I'm Cascade Cody. I play in Washington State.
Wait, so why'd you move to Birch Bay?
I moved to Birch Bay because my mom, she needed a place to be, and we had the opportunity to go in on a house together.
Oh, okay.
And
was your mom at the show on Saturday?
She was. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we went in on a place together, and it needed major renovations. So I have been up there for the last 6 months.
Yeah.
Putting back together this single wide trailer.
Oh, okay.
And
so that's your almost like your other full-time job right now is
kind of taking care of Ma.
Clay just asked if I was coming to Lyman. I forgot to do not disturb my phone. I'm gonna take a picture of you really quick and then send it to him. It's like, you coming out tonight?
Yeah. What's going on in Lyman tonight? Oh, trivia. He's doing trivia tonight.
Yeah. He does trivia. Yeah, on Tuesdays, and I start, and then he does District Brewing on Wednesdays, and I start trivia tomorrow.
Yeah. In
Concrete, and so I said, "Hey, you want to do some swapperoos of some rounds? You want?
Yeah.
I'll give you a couple. You give me a couple.
Yeah.
I mean, they're easy to come up with, but like, I don't know. I think his are really interesting, and So, and he's done it for 5 years, I think.
Clay is a crazy prolific guy.
Yeah, I know. Every time I do an episode and I put in his intro, I'm just blown away. I'm like, why did you have to make that? No one else is going to make me one now. Not that like his is way too good that nobody can even compare.
And what I love about Clay is he won't even ask you. He'll do it first.
Yes.
And then he'll tell you, he's like, hey, I made this for you. Here you go. And you're like, this is freaking amazing. Thank you so much. Do you want anything? He's like, no.
Yeah.
No, I'm just here because I love art.
Yeah.
I love the community that we're fostering, and just, I was with him last night, and we're kind of like trying to do this whole video thing, and we're working together, and we're like trying to figure out like how we're going to fit together and how we collaborate on all these videos.
Yeah.
And I've been going through what I'm recently going through. So yesterday I was just having a day when I got there, and I'm thinking that I'm like annoying. I'm like, cards full. He's like, are you fucking serious, dude? I'm like, I'm sorry, man. I'm sorry. Let me just delete all these videos on there, and then And then like it went out of focus, and then I forgot the plate for the camera, so it's like wobbling, and then I'm like way out of focus, and I'm like, hey, can you adjust the focus while you record me play this song, please? And God bless him for yesterday. God bless Clay, because he's just a great guy. He's a great guy.
I was gonna say, like, what, like if we haven't talked for a few days, he'll just text me and be like, "Hey, hope you're doing good." You know, thinking of you. I'm like, "Hey, thanks."
Yeah, that's how everybody here is.
Yeah,
and like literally, I've never had a group like that.
Yeah,
it's crazy. Just moving here, and like I came here with some expectations of myself, and like I'm going to book more gigs. I'm going to do.
So you didn't know a bunch of people when you were just touring around?
I didn't know a bunch of people. Literally. So Clay heard the podcast. He booked me at Farmstrong when he was there. Yeah. But I played there twice, and so Clay has kind of like threw a dog a bone every now and then. He got me. I'm playing at Lyman July 21st because of Clay.
Oh yeah.
But my first two were Birdsview Brewing Company, which they're awesome people too. Yeah. And then Rockport, and I just played them a lot. Like I was on their 4 to 6 month rotation, and those were kind of like my first gigs that I kept doing. And as I did that, I eventually got to meet more people in Skagit and started seeing the same faces at my gig every time. And
I was gonna say, you probably met Wes through Clay.
Yeah. I met Wes through Clay. I knew who Wes was, actually. It was funny. So I found out about Wes via a group called the Gems on VHS Facebook group, and Gems on VHS is a YouTube channel that specializes in folk music. So they showcase new artists. They like first showcase like artists like Coulter Wall and people like that. Yeah. And there was this group called Gems on VHS Friends, and Wes had posted his video in there. And I'm amazed there's another folk musician in Washington. I didn't know anybody that was like playing acoustic music. And because I was just starting, and I send him a DM, and I'm like, man, we should collaborate sometime. And he left me on red. He won't admit that he left me on red, but he did leave me on red. 3 years ago, Wes Jones, you left me on red. And I haven't forgot about it, but I did bring it up with you that time that you and I went to go see Ramblin' Jack Elliott in Seattle. And since then, Wes and I have become really, really good friends. But
well, I can guarantee that when Wes is on here again, he's going to bring that up.
Yeah. He's like, dude, I don't know. I didn't know who you were, bro. I didn't know. How did you know who I was when Clay brought me to your gig? What are you talking about? And it was awesome the first time I actually met him in the flesh, because he was at my gig, and just Wes is a super supportive guy. So I'd get done with the show, and every time he'd be like, fuck yeah! And just clap every time. And he'd lead the audience into, but he also just emits that energy. And he is absolutely playing I think the best music right now in the community. And then not to knock anybody else. But just, the Wes Jones trio is so tight. Yeah. And Charlie adds to it. And Wes and Carly, it's so obvious when they're on stage. They love each other so much. Yeah. And watching them visually is amazing.
She's so calming.
She's so calming,
I just feel so relaxed watching her play.
Right. Right. The last song, It's a Great Day to Be Alive. When we all sang It's a Great Day to Be Alive at the Concrete show. Travis Tritt.
Oh, okay.
I just completely botched the first verse, and she's like leading me in like a kindergarten choir director. They're just so nice.
Like a mom, because she's a mom.
Yeah, so kind, and they're just so great to watch. And Wes's songs lyrically are just so eclectic in that way that they're simple, but they're not. And I've also been editing their videos, so I heard them a lot. But I genuinely like their songs, and a lot of the people I edit the videos for, I don't necessarily a lot of my clients up until this point, I should say, I've been like, I like the music, they're okay, but his music, is legitimately, it should be what's showcased now on Americana radio.
Have you seen Lazy Acres?
I haven't seen Lazy Acres. Okay. I've listened to Lazy Acres, and I'm really involved with Wes right now in the Wes Jones trio, but Lazy Acres is kind of their own thing. They have a whole they really work well together.
They're
as a unit.
Really good.
And I feel like externally, Wes is a really busy guy. I don't know how he does it.
Well, and he pours concrete all day.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, he doesn't pour concrete. He drives it, doesn't he?
Well, whatever. I'm just saying he works.
I'm not giving him that
full-time.
much credit.
Like sometimes I'll like roll to bed after a show. I'm like, hey, that was a great show last night. He's like, yeah, I'm in Camino right now. It's like 7 a.m. I'm like, you're already at work.
Yeah. No, he was there yesterday. I could tell that he was tired, but that's the kind of guy he is.
He's young.
Clay
He's
wanted
like 31.
Yeah. Well, I'm 31 too. I don't have that kind of drive. No, especially if we're doing something that doesn't involve me, like directly.
I was gonna say
I'm
too.
right here.
I think I met everyone through Clay as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I met him at the Enthusiast show, and then I was like, "You're not scared of a mic? Let's record." And then he was like, "You should record with Wes," and then Wes was like, "You should record with Charlie." I'm like, "Who's that?"
Yeah. And that's just the type of people they are. They show up for each other. They show up for friends. Clay wanted to make this video for his Aloft song, and we had to like do like 3 different controlled burns at once because he wants a fire effect. And I'm like, well, we can.
The gas mask?
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. He ended up scratching the idea for the gas masks, and it's just amazing Clay's vision for things, because you don't always see it when he conceptualizes it. But he started putting this video together, and I'm thinking like, yeah, it's gonna be okay, it's gonna look good. Like, you know, I'm skeptical as a person who does video. I'm like, I have a specific way of doing it, and I'm like, I'm the best. I know what I'm talking about. Maybe you should do this, Clay. But he put this thing together, and I'm like, fuck.
Oh, it's good.
And I'm like, I should listen to you more, dude.
That's awesome.
But Wes showed up after a day of working, and he did a bunch of controlled burns. And, of course, Mr. Blue Collar Wes, he's like, you know, no, you got to burn it like this. I'm going to – listen, okay, you know, you can't put that much lighter fluid on there. And look, no, I'm going to nail it to the wall, and I'm going to burn it, and I'm going to nail it. And then he just swings this hammer, and he shakes the whole fucking building. Mr. Blue Collar.
I need to trick Wes into like doing stuff for me. I'll invite him over for some reason. Oh yeah, come pick up whatever, and then I'll be doing something wrong when he gets here. He'll be like, "Give me that." Yeah,
it's just like I said earlier. Wes obviously comes from those groups of people that like just do stuff all day. Yeah, you know, like my dad was that way. He's just always working, even on a Sunday. He's just like, "Oh, I gotta be out here working." So yeah, if I was building a deck, I would like get a 6-pack of beer and be like, "Everybody come over, we'll hang out." And I just invite Wes.
Work party.
I'm kidding. Yeah. And I don't tell him about the deck, but I know he'd help me build it.
Oh yeah, for sure.
It's like right now at this point, there's been too many points in my life where I've not seized the moment.
Oh, okay.
And so
because of relationships?
Because of relationships, because I was scared, because of XYZ, and like, you know, it's like 31, you're a musician now. If you're gonna do it, it's right now. Yeah. Yeah. And so and it feels really good, and I honestly feel the way we keep going at it. Yeah. It can get bigger than Skagit even.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. And I think it's you know, it's something definitely more than just age, like you were saying, like, oh, you're 31, like, but it's like it's like where your talent's at, like, you're, especially with your new album coming out. We haven't even mentioned that, August 4th.
Right, August 4th. Yep.
Did Jeremy text you yet?
No, he hasn't.
Okay,
but it's fine.
So we can't announce your.
Yeah.
No, I was gonna say.
I wasn't even gonna do an album thing until you did it.
Oh, God, that'd be so much fun.
It's so funny. This whole album, I wasn't even gonna release it. I was like, because the whole process of making it.
Oh, that's what I was going to ask you about. Because when you posted about making it, you mentioned, like, it seemed like it was lots of ups and downs. Yeah. And I was like, oh, let's talk about that.
Well, okay, so 2 years ago, I had a really good career in car sales. I was a good car salesman. And I don't mean that by bragging. Like, no, I had it down to a science. Like, you know, from talking to the person, getting them inside the vehicle, to moving them to the sales floor, to the office. Getting and closing a deal. I was getting to the point where I was becoming like a professional salesperson, a real professional. And I know, like, you know, people are like, yeah, whatever, a car sale, but that's a trade. Yeah. People don't think of sales as being a trade. It really is a trade. And the guys that go out and do that only live to be about 60 because they are working their whole lives and they are eating really good lunches. That's funny. But I also really loved music, and I was at this situation where I was working at Dodge in Yakima, and one day my manager said something to me I just really didn't like, and I just gave myself an ultimatum, and I quit right then and there. I walked out, and Then I got another job at another lot, thinking maybe if I did it again, and I worked at a really the most prolific lot in Tri-Cities. I moved to Tri-Cities in Richland, Washington, but I got a job at Toyota, and I just decided one day I was just sitting on the lot, and I was like, God, I just can't waste any more time standing on this asphalt. And I was playing guitar at night and writing more and more songs, and I've been writing my whole life. Like, that's something that hasn't stopped. I went to theater school. Art is a major component of me. But and I just decided before I even got my first paying gig, I'm quitting. I'm quitting today. Now, I mulled it over for 3 days, called in sick like 3 times, and then I texted my boss and I said, I'm done. And he's like, are you serious? You're like doing really well.
You're like,
and I'm like, I know
Yeah.
I'm doing really well, but my heart's not in it. And when my heart's not in it, I'm costing you guys money. And I just don't want to affect your guys' bottom line because I don't care anymore.
So your first paying gig was 2 years ago?
Yeah.
Wow.
My first paying gig. I learned guitar 5 years ago. I picked up guitar at 27, and since then, I've just been going full bore.
Wow.
Learning.
So you did theater before that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So I did theater before that. Before that, it was hip hop, and that's a whole other different thing.
Like dancing or?
No, I was a rapper.
Really?
Yeah, I was a rapper.
Wow. Okay.
We'll get to all that. That's talking about seizing a moment. That's another story right in there. But
so 2 years ago, you quit your car job to do this full time.
Yeah.
Because I thought this album that's coming out, I thought it was your first one.
It is.
Oh, but then you're on, what are you on Spotify
So
for?
I have a bunch of singles. I have an EP up there. This is my first album.
I just saw a bunch of stuff and I was oh, it looks like 6 albums, but they're like just little.
No.
Okay.
Yeah, they're just singles and EPs, certain things.
Yeah.
And so I quit my job. My first job playing music was in Seattle at Lake Forest Park for the Shoreline Arts Festival.
Okay.
And I played there, and it just so happens that this is like the hottest day on record in Seattle. 100 degrees in Seattle, and the humidity is just nasty.
Was it June 2021?
Yeah.
Oh, I was running 100 miles that weekend.
Really?
In on the Gore, like kind of like the river. Southern.
Okay. Yeah. I know what you're talking
Strawberry
about.
Fields.
Yeah.
It was horrible.
Yeah, I bet.
Yeah.
I bet. And running like
I
that.
didn't die, but I got 36 miles in, which is pretty good.
Yeah.
Considering,
Yeah.
Because they're like,
definitely.
even because when it gets hot, they say, oh, old people stay inside.
Yeah.
But they were like, even healthy people don't
Yeah.
go outside. I'm like, see ya.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Right.
So
Right.
I understand. Yeah.
Yeah. So I play the gig, and
That was your first paying gig.
yeah, my first paying gig, $150 to drive all the way from Richland to Seattle, and play in 100-degree heat. And before me, there was a guy playing some kind of like Middle Eastern music, and after me, there were African dancers.
Wow.
And I get off of there, and the MC goes, I've been playing music a long time. I've been emceeing a long time. I've done shows everywhere from Bob Dylan down to like the smallest guys. And let me tell you something, folks, this kid is the real deal.
Aww.
And I don't know if he was being serious or whatnot, but that was like a moment when I was like, oh my God, that feels good.
That's awesome.
I'm not going to stop ever. And it's just been since like really that defining moment, I've just like said, I'm going to push this and see how far I can take it. And it's been crazy.
Have you ever talked to that guy?
No, not since that day.
Like,
he had a big old mustache like me and long hair. So nice. And it's funny because like I'd never constructed a set. I have 45 minutes to play, and I play 8 songs, and I have 20 minutes left because all of my songs are 2 minutes 30 seconds because I play folk music. And I'm like, how much time do I have left? And he's like, oh dude, you got 20 plus minutes. And I'm like, oh shit.
Covers?
So I start playing covers, and I'm like, all right, that's all I got left in the tank, folks. And then
awesome.
people came up to me asking for CDs, and it was like, okay, there is something here. And then I scored a gig opening up for Loretta Lynn's granddaughter.
Okay.
And that was a pretty good gig because that was in Eastern Washington. And as you know, I play songs about Yakima, the Yakima Valley where I originally come from, and playing in front of that crowd, and just the energy was really good. I couldn't get a better gig.
Yeah.
anywhere else. Everywhere else was like wineries where people did not give a shit about what you were playing. You know what I mean? They're like, yeah, whatever, you're good. Okay, yeah, let me get my wine, please.
So even if there's a ton of people there, they're not paying attention.
They're not really paying attention. They like, and it's not that. I'm not gonna go out.
No, not
and
in a
say,
negative
like,
way.
In a negative way.
It's
No,
just the environment.
The folks there like what they like.
Yeah.
And there are bands that do really well.
Yeah.
It just seemed that I could never gain any headway.
Yeah.
Anywhere, no matter where I went.
Yeah.
And I kept. I did the podcast for. I reached out to Rudy, who ran it, and I was like, "Can I do this?" I saw Bradford Loomis do it, and I was like, "Can you give me their contact information so I can see if they can do it?" I write songs about the Pacific Northwest. You know what I mean? I'm Cascade Cody. Come on, throw me a bone here. And he puts me on. He's like, "Yeah, you're great. We'll do it." And I do it, and I do the podcast, and then Rudy tells me, "Hey, Brittany Collins is playing at Farmstrong today. You should go see him." And then I meet Savannah Woods that night.
Oh yeah.
I meet Brittany Collins, and I met Jack. Jack Mattingly was there.
Yeah.
And I met Christine, and she got me my first gigs at Rockport, or at least opened the door for them at Rockport and Birdsview. And
cool.
Jack actually had brought up, I think, Birdsview to Jesse Mattingly, who's over there at Birdsview. And I got in really good with the people at Birdsview. I play Rockport pretty regularly, and I just kept playing there, and people kept coming back to my shows, and I was just like, well, shit. They actually love folk music here. They love music in general. Yeah. And so eventually, when I got the opportunity, when my mom was like, "Hey, I got a house," I'm like, I was struggling, really struggling. Was your mom
also in Yakima?
No, she was in Cedar Woolley.
Oh, okay.
Living with her boyfriend, and she's like, "Hey, there's a single wide up here that I have an opportunity to buy. Do you want me to buy it? And if you do, you could come back and go back to school. Yeah. And if you help me renovate it and we finish this house, we make it nice, I'll stay here, and you go back to school." And so I just said, "Do it right now." Yeah. You know what I mean? Do it right now. And ever since then, I haven't looked back. And now we're kind of here, and just the momentum has just kept going and kept going. And now I'm finally in a place where I'm playing really, really consistently, and I'm really, really thankful for it. Yeah. And so it's just like, keep it going. And I said, I'm going to just take it as far as I can. I'm not stopping. And several times I quit. Like, it was so hard not to go back. Yeah. To that life, because it's so easy in that way. You know what I mean? You get into a routine. Yeah. You get to doing it over and over and over again. You get really good at it, and you're making really good money. And then eventually, you know, you're bigger than you want to be, and you're 50, and you've spent all this time on this asphalt, and just waiting for the next guy to come in and buy a Corolla. Yeah. Yeah. And I couldn't do it.
Well, and you're saying that you hadn't seized the moment before, but gosh, you've only been playing for 2 years. So do you mean like before that?
Yeah. So before that, this story gets a little ridiculous because people aren't. I was a rapper, folks. I was a rapper.
What name were you under?
Cody J.
Okay. Does anyone know this?
Yeah. I had an album.
Party?
Yeah. They know about it. There's people that know about it.
Okay. Are you embarrassed?
It's embarrassing because I took the opportunity to do it at a high level, but I didn't do it on the basis of my own merit. I did it with somebody telling me what to do. Okay. So I was on an actual label. I had a manager and everyone, and they're like, okay, you have really good talent, but you need to like lean into the white thing, like super hardcore. And that was the biggest mistake, because I made a mixtape back in the day. My mixtape's dropping. Like, this is like 2011. I was like 19. And they're
actually cassette tapes?
No, they're CDs, but they call them the mixtape because, you know, everything gets assigned a name in hip hop. Then it's not actually its name, you know. That's like kind of the culture. Like, it's cool, bro.
So you made a mixtape.
Yeah, I'm no longer cool anymore. I never was cool. I thought I was cool. I did, and it was called So What If I'm White. Okay. That premise has never been done before. And so I did it, and I got to open up for like big major acts.
Wow.
So I actually opened up for T-Pain. I went on the road with Bone Thugs and Harmony.
Oh my God.
None of them
Wow.
know me either. Like, I didn't ever talk to them. I was scared
Yeah.
out of my mind because I just wasn't ready for it.
Yeah.
And I had the opportunity to meet, and this is all really condensing it all down. I had the opportunity to meet Steve Lobel, who was the manager, the beginning manager for really big acts like Nipsey Hussle,
Okay.
and Bone Thugs and Harmony at that time. And his partner wanted to put me on to their to their agency. Excuse me. And I go there, and I just absolutely like have an audition, but I absolutely decimate the audition. It was terrible. I wasn't prepared.
Oh.
And we're on the plane back, going back to L.A., going back to Seattle from L.A., and my manager just looks at me, and he goes, "You fucking blew it."
Oh my gosh.
So, like, from 13 to 22, it was my dream to be a rapper. And then, you know, you're dealing with the harsh realities. I listened to this guy my whole life tell me, you're sucking right now. Figure it out. Get better. All of these things. And he really taught me how to push myself. So, I mean.
I was going to say, you
But-
obviously learned a lot of lessons
Yeah,
that,
yeah,
you know,
yeah.
just from the music industry in general.
Right,
and
right.
working that you can use now.
Right,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
And self-promotion and things like that.
Yeah.
But it doesn't mean that it works. But no, and then you go there to find this moment, you know, in that weird Eminem 8 Mile kind of way, and like it literally does happen like that sometimes.
Yeah.
It's like you have that second, and you know it's what they say: success is preparation and opportunity meeting.
Yeah.
And I was not prepared when the opportunity came.
Yeah.
But I'm glad for it in a lot of ways. And then like a year later, I was 23, and Lil Dicky came out with a song like called "Save That Money," and now he's doing like, and that was like my shtick.
Oh, okay.
Was like kind of like that Lil Dicky thing. I don't know if you know who Lil Dicky is.
I'm trying to picture.
He has a show on FX called Dave.
Oh.
Yeah,
okay.
that guy.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow,
So he's
okay.
like, yeah.
Okay.
And so that was like kind of my shtick, and I'm like watching it, and I'm like, yeah. That possibly could have been me. It didn't never happen or anything like that, but it's like I got close. I had met everybody that I wanted to meet. I'd met every person. My first time I ever got high was being hotboxed in a car with all 5 members of Bone Thugs and Harmony.
Not many people can say that.
Yeah, exactly. Not very many people can say that. That's right.
That's awesome.
And so, yeah, this is one of the opportunities of not seizing the moment. And now we're here. And I'm making music now on a much smaller scale, mind you.
But obviously, like, I don't know.
I'm making way more money than I ever did rapping.
But also, do you feel like you're like this is who you are?
Yes.
More
oh,
than a
absolutely.
rapper? Yeah.
I look at
yeah.
myself with my long hair in the mirror, and I'm like, yeah,
Yeah.
that's the guy.
That's awesome.
That's the guy. Yeah.
So how did you first get into John Craigie? Speaking of
My friend Madeline
singer-songwriters?
listened to John Craigie.
Yeah.
My ex-girlfriend Madeline actually
Yeah.
listened to John Craigie, and she lives in California now.
Yeah.
And she put me onto him, and she's like, "Hey, you're actually kind of like a lot like this guy." And I'm like, "It seems like he and I would be best friends. You are right."
Oh,
But
he puts on such a great show.
Yeah.
I first discovered him from like on Spotify. They do Discover Weekly.
Mhm.
It's a mixtape. You know,
Mhm.
every
yeah,
Monday,
yeah.
random stuff, and it came on. And I was like, "What is this?"
Yeah.
And it just blew me away from like,
Prolific, deep yet simple.
oh, and the line about
Yeah.
like his flies down, and
Yeah.
you know you're laughing, and then he
Yeah.
sings, "I don't trust a musician who's always complaining. Sometimes it's clear, sometimes it's raining, sometimes it's
Mhm.
the gorge, sometimes it's the garage.
Mm-hmm.
Get over yourself and do your goddamn job." And
Yeah.
I'm like, holy shit! Like
Absolutely.
that applies to teaching.
Yeah,
it
it applies to everything.
Yeah,
really,
yeah,
in so
just-
many ways.
Cooking at the hub, like just
Yeah.
like do I did that last night, so it's like
Yeah.
just do your job. Like
Yeah,
it doesn't matter what the scenario is.
yeah.
you know?
Do it as best as you can.
Yeah, yeah.
exactly.
And then his whole like verse about like people had to die so your eyes could open. I look at all of
Mhm.
and I just want to cry every time. I don't think I would have traveled if my mom hadn't passed away. And
Oh, your
and,
mom passed away.
yeah, she passed away.
I think you talked about this in an earlier episode.
Yeah,
I've been
so-
listening to the podcast. I'm genuinely a
Thank you.
fan of the podcast.
I appreciate
Like,
it.
I really am. And
I
like,
love doing it.
yeah, coming externally into this and kind of like coming into it really fast, just like getting to know everybody in the group. It's kind of like, you know, it's an introduction to everyone before I know them. Like, especially like Charlie, you guys. I haven't had much time around Charlie, but
gosh.
I feel like, you know, I know so many of your guys' stories, and like you'll say something and I'll be reminded from like, you know, oh, that was in episode 14 when you
Oh,
talked
that's
to
so
whoever.
funny. Well, and just
Yeah.
sitting down with him was hilarious because I was like, I don't know, bring your guitar, I guess. So he brought a guitar and sat down and no idea who he is. And I was like, let's not talk about music. And we just pulled my conversation cards out and we talked for, I think it was my longest episode ever, 2.5 hours.
Yeah.
And I was like, I can't put this whole thing in, but I'll chop it up. And near the end, he kept checking his phone. I'm like, who is that? He's like, it's Wes. He's like, hurry up, we're having dinner. And I was like, Wes is pissed that you're taking forever.
No. And speaking of which, best guitar player I have ever met in my life, period. He is so good.
Oh, Charlie? Yeah.
It was like I had to grab my head at the Concrete show because I don't know what he's doing. Like I have, and I'm not really like a really great guitar player, but I have absolutely no fucking idea how he even does that.
Like, do you just watch? I'm not a obviously big guitar player, but like, do you just watch his fingers the whole time?
Yeah.
Like, is that what people?
I'm watching his fingers. I'm hearing the notes. It's the way. So it's a lot of intangibles.
Yeah.
That when you start playing an instrument, you start realizing that other musicians do.
Oh, okay.
And I have no idea what he's doing, but I can tell like that is some really, just really, really, really strong skills he has.
Yeah.
I can't explain his guitar playing.
Yeah.
That's how like amazed
Yeah.
I was by it.
I should have had him play.
Yeah. And, you know, I hear that Corey Vincent's a really great electric guitar player as well, and I haven't seen him play, but I look forward to it.
Well, didn't you?
And I've heard him. I listened to his
show, right?
album. Yeah, I was
Yeah.
at the show, but
Well,
he
I'm
wasn't
trying to
playing
think if-
electric.
Oh, he wasn't. Okay.
That was my first day meeting Corey Vincent.
See, they kept the doors closed for
Yeah.
Corey's and yours.
Yeah.
And I was like, why are you closing the door? I was
Right.
so upset because the last show the doors were open. So when Wes was playing, I'm like, Wes, can I open the doors for your set? He's
Yeah.
like, yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That was a
yeah.
really special night. I had a lot of fun.
Well, when you were staying at the winery, when people are not really paying attention,
Yeah.
how was that playing at the theater? Like, was that your first time playing in a venue where everyone's just staring at you?
No,
okay.
no. So I played a place called Parham Hall in Zillow, Washington, and that's kind of like, you know, like a Grand Ole Opry-esque thing over there.
Yeah.
And that was a lot of fun. And that was like 300 people.
Yeah.
And that's probably the healthiest show I've done as a folk singer.
Is it like added pressure when they're just staring at you?
Not for me anymore.
Okay.
That's
It
what I
used to be.
want.
Oh, okay.
You see, I'm the kind of guy, I love opening for acts because I don't know how much of my set or if you saw any of it.
No. Did you play Pony Expressions?
No, I didn't play Pony
Okay.
Expressions. I didn't play Pony Expressions. That was the one I forgot. I literally brought my set list and I put it on the ground, and you know I was having a rough day.
Yeah.
And it was the hardest set I had ever done. And I'm
you were
looking at
nervous
it.
about not. You said normally you joke around in between songs.
Yeah.
So how did that go?
Yeah, that was great. That was
Okay,
great. The
okay.
playing, in my opinion, not so good. But
Okay.
people tell me I was good. So.
Everyone really liked you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so-
yeah.
And it's the jokes. It's the jokes what get people in. But
Like, why is he crying?
yeah, no, I wasn't crying that day. But if you knew me, it was obvious I was going through something.
Oh, okay.
But,
yeah.
But no, I forgot where we were going.
Oh, I was just asking you about playing at the theater.
Yeah.
How did that
Oh,
feel?
yeah. No, it was just a small venue like that is intimate with the history, and especially just a place like Concrete. You go there, and it's magical.
Yeah.
It's just nestled right in the mountains. It has that almost aesthetic of like Leavenworth, Washington. Only
Yes, I agree.
there isn't the commercial aspect of it,
Yeah.
right? And so
They're not building a roller coaster at the
no,
end of Main Street.
they're not building a roller coaster in Main Street, and the locals do not give a shit if you are rolling through or
Do
not.
they actually want you there?
Yeah,
Some
exactly.
locals.
Some locals. Yeah,
I've heard. Yeah.
There's
yeah.
a lot of great people in Concrete, and that was my first time ever rolling into Concrete. Like I said, I've driven through it.
Yeah.
And I play at Birds View, but that's not really Concrete.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah, just that Main Street strip. I don't know. There's
beautiful,
something about
beautiful.
that.
And my uncle, I was just at his house. He was bringing up the high school.
The one that was at the
Uncle Jim.
Yeah,
Uncle Jim.
Jim and I got along quite well. He was frequently.
He's an easy guy to get along with, but he's a tough guy to get in a word edgewise. I'll tell you that much. That guy does not stop talking. He taught me. He plays guitar. He taught me my first chords.
He told me that. Yeah.
Yeah. Of course he did. Yeah.
Yeah. So is he from the area?
He's from Seattle.
Oh, Seattle. Okay.
Yeah. His dad worked at Boeing. You could ask him next time you see him. I'm sure you will. He'll tell you all about
it. That's awesome.
But
so he liked the show?
Oh, yeah. He had a blast.
Oh,
he
cool.
especially loved Charlie.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, especially loved Charlie. Yeah, every time I've talked to him since the show, we've talked about Charlie. That boy can play. He's just... So,
that's hilarious. I love it. Cool. Okay, so we haven't even got to your new album yet.
Yeah.
So you were talking about how it was a bit of a roller coaster of emotions, and I was like, can we talk about that?
Yeah.
Not that on this podcast I'm like, give me the gossip, but like, I don't know. You said you're an open book, and just curious how.
No, so I meet this guy up in Richland. When I'm just starting out this whole, And
again, this is like 2 years ago.
Yeah, okay. I'm like, I'm going to be a folk musician. I'm going to sing lots of songs for children, and, we're going to be singing row, row, row your boat and campfires and all that stuff. I don't know what occurred to me. It just I wanted to do it.
Yeah.
And I decided, if you can manifest it, if there's a possibility that this could happen, you can make it happen. And that's what I said to myself, and I just quit in faith.
Yeah.
Leap of faith. And I met a fella named Joe Mayday in Richland, and we get to talking about recording. He's a sound engineer, and he really liked my music. And he was just like, "Man, I'll record you at a super cheap rate." And I'm like, "Okay, let's get started." And we get going, and I'm going through like serious financial hardship, and like. Just trying to transition, like I'm door dashing, which I still door dash for a living when I'm not like playing a whole lot.
Yeah.
But so I'm door dashing full time, really scraping by, barely making rent. And I just eventually tell him, I'm like, hey man, I'm sorry, I can't afford to pay you. I just can't.
Yeah.
It's just not in the cards. I'm going to have to record myself. And he said, I'm not going to charge you. We're going to do this project. And so we do it. Yeah. Super kind. Super kind. One of the best gifts anybody's ever given to me, because that time that I spent there with him in the studio, we spent so much. We recorded for a week for a year straight, just recording song after song after song after song after song.
See, I just thought people went to the studio and just recorded, didn't.
You can do that. You can do that, and that's for practiced musicians. I wasn't. I'm not practiced. You know what I mean?
Okay.
It's just like It was a deal. He wanted to be better at what he did, and
cool.
I wanted to be better at
That's
what
awesome.
I did. So
yeah, it's a win-win.
We would go in there, and he would talk about, and so eventually, we get about a year into this thing, and I'm like, okay, so we have all these songs recorded. We should really think about making an album. I'm like, and he's like, yeah, we really should start making an album. And so we start constructing this album together, fabricating it, and all of a sudden, we have these ideas of where the project should go. And then we start, sandpaper rubbing in two different directions with each other, and he's not getting paid. And so we start seeing some dissonance, in the chord work, right? So notes are not melding together, theoretically, figuratively. And I think, I don't know if I somehow seeded resentment in him, or I said something. I tried to reassure, I tried to be kind, but it's just the way I see it is he's given so much, and we are having so many artistic differences. How do we navigate that and come to a mutual understanding to finish this project in a way that will make everybody happy? And it eventually, long story short, I know I'm rambling on about it. We don't talk to each other anymore, and it's one of literally the biggest things that bother me, because I wanted this guy to be like my partner. He helped me understand, because not only spending that much time in the studio, you start to learn that the artistic process doesn't stop when you bring the song to the studio, that's really the beginning of like you're painting the picture or you're painting the face of this song that everybody else is going to see. The song still exists in a state of flux where you play it consistently and you can change that, but you are painting like the beginning. The surface level of this song is the recording. It'll always be the recording, and how you sing it after is how the song evolves, how you keep it new and fresh. And so it's just like, how many colors do you want to use in this painting? What are things you can do? And like every other musician that I had working with me to do the backing scratch tracks fell out, so I ended up just taking an old banjo to the studio with me. I don't know how to play the banjo, taking a harmonica, bringing the fiddle. I kind of know how to play the fiddle, and doing all of the backup tracks on my album myself. So like 90% of the music on this album is played by me.
Wow.
And so I think I have only 3 other musicians, John Bartholomew, who donated the mandolin for Windbit and Sage, and a couple of artists on Fiverr. One of them was an amazing pedal steel player for he played a dobro. He's a dobro player, but he plays pedal steel.
I'm trying to think. You have violin.
Yeah,
on those songs, right?
Yeah, on some of them. Yeah.
I was gonna say we should give them to Gretchen. She can learn them. Yeah, and she can play with you at the hub.
Oh, I would love to play with Gretchen. Yeah. I listened to that podcast and was like, I want to know her.
Every Friday she plays the hub. She's 5:30.
Just obviously a very beautiful person.
Yeah.
But yeah, so
you played all the instruments.
We got it all together, and he sends me what he deems to be the final mix. And he didn't give me a chance to listen to anything before he masters it. He doesn't give me a chance to have any artistic credit. And it could be just he spent a lot of time on this. I want to get it done.
Yeah.
And I understand that. However, I also have put years into this. He said he's going to see this through. There were just a few small things that I wanted changed, and he forgot completely to mix a song.
So after you master it, you can't change it?
You can change it. Yeah, you can change it. I mean, mastering is
just harder.
To him, he had specified a day in his mind where he was done with this project, and he did not communicate with that to me. And throughout our whole friendship, you know what I mean? We've always been understanding with each other. We talked. He would go through stuff, and I would be right there to help him if he needed me and all this stuff. Yeah. So, but nothing quite, makes work feel less like work but money, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I just couldn't provide that for him, so I tried to pay him retroactively after he had finished the job, and I think he was just exhausted by the project. Mm-hmm. And Joe, if you ever listen to this, I'm sorry. The deal that I offered you beforehand where I can pay you retroactively, absolutely, anytime you want it.
Yeah.
But
so it kind of ended with just him sending you the files.
Him sending me the files, and him telling me he didn't want anything, and he got mad at me because I kept trying to pay him.
Yeah.
And anytime I did a show, I'd be like, here, let me Venmo you XYZ this. Let me Venmo you this. Let me Venmo. He didn't want it. And so it's just like, well, you can't resent me and then every time I try to make it up to you, get madder at me for trying to make it up for you. To you.
Yeah.
And
maybe he just needs time.
Yeah.
You know.
And that's the thing. Time is the healer of all things. And I'm so grateful for him for helping me make this album because he was literally there in every step. And there are some things like the ooze on Hills of Mexico and things like that. Those were his ideas.
Oh, cool.
They weren't my ideas. Yeah. And so, just, you know, he really is a brilliant guy. And I hope he finds what he wants in life.
Yeah. But, well, you never know. You know,
yeah.
Could work together in the
future.
Yeah.
And so. Yeah, I doubt it. But you know, I want him to get his dues. I want him to, you know, he deserves something for this.
And so when was that? When did he just like, okay, you know,
so
project's done. Here
project was done, I think in March.
Oh, just this March. Okay. Yeah.
Project was done in March.
Yeah.
And
then, so why did you choose August to release it? Just curious.
I chose August I wasn't going to release it because of those feelings associated with it. It was the biggest disappointment artistically that I think I've ever felt. And I didn't really think, you know.
Not because of the work.
Not because
just
of the work necessarily. Just the process and then what happened. And, you know, I do think I'm a better artist than I am now. Looking back on this song, I think all of the songs that I write now are better than anything on this album. But that's how you feel at
Release
the end.
it and then
yeah.
record again.
Yeah, exactly. That's how every artist feels at the end of making an album. Brittany Collins and I talked about that before.
Well, and this podcast, when people are like, "Oh, you have podcasts," I'm like,
yeah, absolutely.
Don't listen to the first 12.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, or whatever. You know,
Yeah.
don't listen to the first few because I can't even like the sounds.
Right.
I keep thinking about going back and fix them, but I'm like, no, that's the evolution.
Yes.
Like
that's the process.
Not that they're not; those guests are amazing.
That's the
but,
process, and there
the
is
audio.
merit in falling in love with that process.
Yeah.
And and so I wasn't going to release it, and I didn't even think really it was that good.
It's good.
People have told me that it's good.
Yeah.
and it was Clay. Clay was the one that was like, I showed it to Wes, and I could tell Wes, not that Wes didn't like the album. Wes, I think that you appreciate my album.
Yeah.
I just know Wes is a stickler for how things sound, what they do. This is a rustic folk album.
Yeah.
It's a rusty bucket of songs, and you need to look at it that way. It
Yeah.
sounds like I recorded it. It
Yeah.
didn't sound like I took it to a studio. It sounds like a guy that kind of knows how to play the guitar,
Yeah.
and kind of knows how to play the banjo,
Yeah.
kind of knows how to play the fiddle, kind of knows how to play the harmonica, and can sing fairly well. Decided he was going to write a bunch of songs and put them out, and this is what it came of.
And then you showed it to Clay.
I showed it to Clay, and Clay was like, dude, I don't know what your gripe is. Like, this is a really good collection of songs.
Well, and his artwork.
Yeah, and he
So
made me
good.
that artwork, and he just handed it over to me.
Yeah.
And I'm like, did you make this? He's like, yeah. And I'm like, I want a back cover.
Ugh.
And I was like,
Do more. No, it's
yeah. I was like, I'd like a
No,
back
he's
cover if
awesome.
you'd be interested. I'm going to print
Yeah.
this, because I had an original cover that was just a picture that Rogue took, and
Yeah.
it was good, but
Yeah.
it didn't. I feel like there is an aspect of all the songs that show up in that art.
No, now that
album
I
cover.
know the songs
Yeah.
and I see Clay's art, like
Yeah.
it's perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And so we
Awesome.
went on that road trip, and
Yeah.
there were times when, like, I didn't have Spotify,
Mhm.
or I might want to listen to a podcast. It's not
Mhm.
appropriate, and Olive can't hear it.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I was like, oh, wait, I have Zach's CD, and then I
Yeah.
had yours just
Yeah.
downloaded on my phone.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it was just, I love how we're on this road trip, we're driving through the redwoods, and remember that song I sent you called Home by Lion, Bear, and Fox?
Yes.
So I love that song, but whenever I start to think about how that one line goes in Pony Expressions, I start almost singing Home by Lion, Bear, and Fox.
Right.
But it's the chorus, the Buckaroo line.
Yes.
How's it
So
go
hang
again?
your head,
Yes.
Buckaroo. No more crying to the moon.
Whenever that comes up,
Yeah.
Olive just like starts singing in the back, and
Yeah.
but it reminds me of the
Yeah.
chorus and Home.
Yeah.
So I always get them confused right away. But
That-
but I just love.
That's one of the
hearing-
favorite things I ever written, by the way. Is
Yeah?
to say "Hang Your Head,
Oh.
Buckaroo." I was listening to like a Midland song,
Oh,
and
really?
I'm like, oh, I want to see what the kids are listening to. Yeah.
The kids.
Midland,
Yeah, and just,
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know why that song hits me so much, and I was actually
Home
thinking
by-
about
oh.
your song,
Oh,
the Pony
Pony
Expressions.
Expressions.
I was just thinking, like, this girl is like, see ya, and just like,
rides
you
off on a
know,
horse.
and then she'll just find someone else, and
Yeah.
I'm because I traveled for years, and
Yeah.
I've had a few boyfriends here and there, and I'm
Yeah.
like, is that me? Like, is that why? Like,
Yeah.
you ever think about like why
Right.
do you like a song? Why do you like the lyrics so much? You know,
Right.
like, I don't know. I think it really like speaks to me, and I was
Yeah.
like,
That song is kind of just constructed from like several different other songs.
did
too.
I don't know, like, did someone think that, like, picture, like,
Yeah.
did someone tell their friend, dude, don't worry, but she's gonna go find someone?
Yeah.
right?
Oh, absolutely. That's
Oh,
something
it
that
just
happens.
broke my
you know,
heart, and
in
I
my
was
world,
like,
all.
oh,
Not that it happens
jeez.
to me all the
Yeah,
time,
yeah,
but you
yeah.
tell that to your friends. It's like, dude.
Well, it's the longest, oldest story in the
it's
book,
the oldest
but-
story of the book,
Oh,
right?
man. But yeah, you painted that picture like so
you.
well. Like, I don't know how, like, I mean, I think lots of sort of like love, breakup songs are like that, but just that desert in there,
Yeah.
I don't know. It's perfect. Yeah.
Thank you.
I don't know how you came up with that, but
So I'll tell you exactly.
is there a desert in Yakima?
Yakima's in the desert? You haven't been to the east side much, have you?
I ran 50 miler at Badger in
Okay.
Kennewick.
Yeah. That's where I lived.
Oh, okay.
So Richland
Yeah.
is a part of the Tri-Cities.
yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah.
that's where Rogue and I come from.
And I just remember the Jeep trails, like that sand was like, they call it moon dust.
Yeah.
Man, that shit gets in your shoes.
And
Breathing it and you have to stop and really clean your, otherwise your blisters are just crazy.
Have you been to southern Idaho yet?
No.
Okay.
Is it like that too?
Oh, it's worse.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
So don't do a race in southern Idaho. Okay. Yeah. So the desert.
Yeah. So just the desert, not in particular. I was thinking like old cowboy operas. That's like where a lot of my, I derive a lot of stuff from, is like that 40s-esque, early like Gene Autry country, Roy Roger.
Yeah.
So a part of it was that, but another part actually comes from a John Anderson song written by Scott F. No, is it Sean Patrick? John Patrick? I don't know who it was.
Okay.
But it was sung by, you know who John Anderson is, the country singer?
No.
Blow, blow, Seminole wind.
I don't really.
Blow. No? Okay.
I've just gone to country like the last few years.
Oh,
so
really?
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
Well, he has a song called Wild and Blue, and it's really big in like the country world.
Yeah.
And there's this line in it. It's like, way across home, the phone ring. No, way across town, the phone rings off the wall. If you know it ain't him. No, I'm forgetting it now. Way across town, the phone rings off the wall. If you know it ain't him, why do you keep calling? And it's like the way that paints a picture in your head is like, why are you sitting by the phone for somebody that doesn't give a crap? You know?
Yeah.
It is just like, she's not wondering about where you are tonight, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
She's just riding off in the desert. And the idea, especially now, thirst traps, right? Someone will quench her thirst on that side. Don't worry about it.
I did think about that term, thirst trap.
Yeah. So it's like a little bit, you know, and that's how I like to derive songs from older songs, from language that I hear, anecdotal.
Yeah.
Accidents that even happen. Somebody will say something, Kenton, and I'm like, that'll be a fun song.
Oh, cool.
And then there's that whole other aspect is like, I want to do Pacific Northwest themed songs.
Yeah.
Too. But yeah, Bony Expressions is definitely one of my favorite songs.
I was just thinking, like, because you have a song. What was the song that you just released? Were you singing about the Puget Sound?
Oh, Acres of Clams. Yeah, that's an old...
Oh, no, that's not your song.
No.
Okay.
That's an old folk song. It was it was originally called the Old Settlers song.
Okay.
And it was written by a fellow in the 1850s.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'm a nerd. I'm a huge nerd about songs. I mean, I am up probably 3 nights a week on archives, just looking through old sheet music, like how the old guys used to do it. One of my favorite folk singers was Paul Clayton. He died in the 60s, and he actually wrote a song called found a song called "Who's Gonna Buy You Ribbons When I'm Gone," and Bob Dylan took this song and wrote "Don't Think Twice, It's All Right."
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it is just like you see a trail in every song, especially these old folk songs. Like my song Hills of Mexico, that's an old folk song.
Oh, okay.
But it also has another song called On the Buffalo Trail. And it's amazing that you can draw a line in history and through oration too. It's not a matter of these songs were written down and they were passed on. No, what you're hearing is probably the 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th version of that song.
Right.
But, you know, it's been saying probably 100 years before that. And I just think that's so fucking cool. And I can't get over it. And, so I'm always looking for old stuff. And Wes always makes fun of me. He's like, what are you going to play, Cody? Something that's 150 years old? Yes! Always. The public domain is your friend. I can take these songs and no one can sue them for it.
I was going to say, I feel like Zach brought up the public domain show the other day.
I admire him for what he does so much.
Yeah.
Like, almost probably more than any other contemporary artist that I've met to this day, because he is just so... I'm me. And if you don't like that, that's not my problem.
Yeah.
That's the vibe I get from Zach. He's a troubadour through and through.
Yeah.
And that's just it. He doesn't change anything for anybody. He is who he is.
I was going to ask if there are any songs that maybe you've written for anyone in the past couple of years that you feel like you might not be able to play for a while? Like, do you ever do that where like you write a song sort of for someone?
Oh yeah.
And you're like, gonna shelve that.
Yeah, actually my released one, In Lieu of Love,
Okay.
was a song that I wrote for a girl. Another part of the reason why I moved from Yakima to Tri-Cities
Okay.
was I just got my heart ripped out
Yeah.
right before, and like I lost like all drive to like continue in like my career or focus on anything, and just like, you know, I was phoning it in, and I haven't played in lieu of love in through a year at least.
Yeah.
So but not necessarily because I'm like not over it or something like that. It's just because, you know, songs eventually, I feel like In Lieu of Love sounds a lot like Pony Expressions.
Oh, okay.
And maybe Pony Expressions is, you know, the second Pokemon.
Yeah. Version 2.
Yeah, you get what I'm saying.
Yeah, yeah.
And other songs, I don't know. Songs grow in a way for me that's like, they don't necessarily affect me as emotionally, but I think about them in a different way, if that makes sense. Like,
it's really interesting to think like how much, I mean, I'm guessing like so much emotion goes into writing a song.
Yeah.
But then like you play it like 300 times.
Yeah.
It just feels so weird that you can just be a robot up there playing it.
Well, and I think that's the interesting about the arbitrary elements in the symbolic fashion of words, right? Because we say the same things, but in different combinations, in different situations, words take on different meanings. And as we get older, and we, you know what I mean? Harold Bloom, he said that you had to memorize poetry, because poetry, when it's memorized, you are able to say it to yourself, and then it changes you.
Yeah.
Not necessarily reading it, right?
Yeah.
And so as I memorize my songs, a song like Wind Bitten Sage, for instance.
Oh, yeah, that was good.
That one has so much texture in the lyrics that, you know, everything is a figurative metaphor. And I think about it in so many ways, and I find myself going back and like looking at the song and being like, that's why I wrote that in that moment. That's why I wrote that in that moment. And I'm able to synonymize that specific moment with that specific lyric, even just a word or a phrase or, you know, anything.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's what songwriting is to me. Is like an ultimate form of expression. And it, you know, it's just hard to think about. It's hard to explain.
Yeah.
And I have a poem I'm writing more poems.
Yeah.
Now
well, I was
too.
actually going to ask you, because you asked me who my favorite poet was.
Yeah.
Do you have a favorite poet?
Oh man. I did at one point, but now I really admire, and he's not so much a poet in and of himself, Oscar Wilde. He's more of a playwright.
Okay.
But I can't remember that one poem. He's talking about a faun, and he's writing about his lover in, you know, Elizabethan, not Elizabethan. Is it the Elizabethan era that he lived in? It was 18 whatever.
Okay.
Victorian England.
Okay.
Yeah. And he's writing about his lover, and of course anybody who knows anything about Oscar Wilde knows that he was in prison for being gay.
Oh, he was?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah, he was. And he wrote another poem about being imprisoned and just losing the will to write.
Wow.
And that's when he died. He said, "I've completely lost the will to write."
Wow.
And
Huh.
he was openly gay, and they imprisoned him.
Okay, so you should either read one of your favorite poems or a poem that you wrote.
I've written a poem, actually.
While you're looking for it, I'll read the one I was talking about earlier, To Be of Use.
Okay.
Okay, this is by Marge Piercy, and the reason why my friend Tara, God, I love her.
Oh, 1 second.
Oh, it's okay.
I got it. Gertrude Stein is my favorite poet.
Okay.
Gertrude Stein, yes.
Okay.
What is it? Something for...
Are the poems like 100 years old?
No.
Okay.
Gertrude Stein, she lived in the 1930s, and she was actually a contemporary to Hemingway. And
That's
they were
almost
really
100
good
years
friends.
old.
I'm thinking 18-something. Yeah, okay, so almost 100 years old. Yeah.
All right.
I'm sure I'd love a lot of contemporary poets. I read
Yeah.
I'm like on that poetry.
And that's the thing. It's
foundation.
like, it's not like I'm against a lot of, I just don't read
There's
it.
so much out there,
yeah,
literally.
yeah.
And that's another aspect about reading is like when you read, people who read are literally exposed to so much more information than people who just decide I'm not going to read.
Yeah. My husband doesn't read.
Yeah,
He
it's
just
like,
chooses
you know,
not
and I'm
to.
not trying to like call out
Nothing
CJ
bad.
or
No,
anything
no.
like that, but it's
Yeah.
just like we have so much time on this earth and it's like, why would you choose? Like deliberately choose like books. I'm not into that, you know? Think about all the information that's
There's
online.
softball to play.
Yeah. Well, and there's nothing wrong with that too.
But no, I was going to say, I think people read a lot online,
Yeah.
but
But it does not beat the specificity
Yeah.
that is inside the bounds of a book.
yeah.
It'll never match it.
Yeah.
And like think about the Library of Alexandria, all the things in there. I'm going a little bit crazy.
Did you hear my story? Because you said you listened to the podcast a bit. Did you hear my story about how like Fight Club kind of saved me?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah, you have
I
a
was
tattoo about
shocked.
it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
This one, right there. May
Yeah.
I never be content. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because man, after I stopped reading, I was like, oh, this is why people read fiction.
Right.
I
The
forgot
most
about my life.
misquoted book on the face of
Is it?
contemporary literature. You know what I
Fight
mean?
Club?
Yeah. Right wingers use it so much in order to be like justify.
That's funny.
But
All right, I'll read
right.
mine and then you
Okay.
can read yours because
Okay.
yours will be better. Okay.
okay.
Well, I was gonna say the reason I use this was my friend Tara. Like you were talking about, like inviting friends over and giving them a 6-pack and then we do work.
Yeah.
But that's like Tara and Brennan. They have work parties. They had to plant a whole
Right.
bunch of. Sorry, Tara and I do this a lot. They got to plant. Not they had to. They got to plant a bunch of nut trees,
Mhm.
and so they just invited a whole bunch of friends over, and they had food, and
Yeah.
we were just sitting around chatting but working
Mhm.
too. And so this is a poem that Tara sent me, "To Be of Use" by Marge Piercy. "The people I love the best," oh god, I think I might cry. I just got to that first line.
I love it.
"The people I love the best jump into work head first, without dallying in the shallows, and swim off with sure strokes almost out of sight. They seem to become natives of that element, the black, sleek heads of seals, bouncing like half-submerged balls. I love people who harness themselves, an ox to a heavy cart, who pull like water buffalo with massive patience, who strain in the mud and the muck to move things forward, who do what has to be done again and again." Don't cry. "I want to be with people who submerge in the task, who go into the fields to harvest and work in a row and pass the bags along, who are not parlor generals and field deserters, but move in a common rhythm when the food must come in or the fire be put out. The work of the world is common as mud. Botched, it smears the hands, crumbles to dust. But the thing worth doing well done has a shape that satisfies, clean, and evident. Greek amphoras for wine or oil, hoppy vases that held corn are put in museums, but they were made to be used. The pitcher cries for water to carry and a person for work that is real."
Damn.
Yeah, isn't that good? But just that first line, "The people I love the best jump into work
You
head
need
first."
to send that to me because
Isn't
it's coming down to so much you can't process there by that first read.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just like
Like, I want to be with people who submerge in the task.
Yeah.
Like we were just talking about,
Right.
the people here and
Yeah.
yeah,
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay,
It's
so
not a matter of we want to do it. It's a matter of we have to do it
yeah,
and stay.
and
with
we
it.
get to.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Like when I'm running, I used to think, oh god, I gotta do 5 more miles. Like I get to. Like my body is allowing me. Like thank you. There are people who can't.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
exactly.
Yeah. I was gonna say though, really quick, I sent Clay that picture of you, and he sent me this. What is that?
Oh yeah. So yesterday we were doing a photo shoot, and they had a leaf blower for this video we were making, and I decided I didn't decide. Clay and Wes decided that I have long hair, and so we're going to do a photo shoot with me being sprayed in the face by a leaf blower for like 20 minutes.
20 minutes?
Yeah.
Is it hard to breathe?
Yes, it was so hard to breathe. I'm sitting here, I'm like, you have to mouth breathe in that situation. You have to. There's no choice.
That's so funny.
And they're just sitting there laughing at me, and it's like, fuck, these are my new
Maybe
friends.
They're hazing you.
Yeah.
Is there like a hazing ceremony?
I don't know if there's a
Skagit
hazing
musicians?
anything. But
That's so funny.
yeah.
Okay, so you're gonna read a song or a poem that you wrote.
Yeah.
Okay.
And this is actually about the hills between Cedar Woolley and Concrete.
Oh.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
So
I love that drive.
yeah.
That's the drive right here on my arm. This is my house, and that's the hub. So I looked on Google Maps, and I got that line.
No shit. That is awesome.
So I joke about how I can never move because it wouldn't make
Yeah.
sense. All right.
All right. I'm probably gonna mess it up. I haven't read it in a long time, and I
Okay.
barely ever read it. Rarely
Okay.
ever read it out loud. But it's
When did you write it?
May 12th, 2023.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what it says right here on my phone. Okay. I'd driven close to 4 hours when I took the See, I messed up already. I'd driven close to 4 hours when I took the Cook Road exit, and after circled street to street and came upon mountain views. Further to the country, past the town of Cedar Woolley, in what seemed to be a valley, pleasant was this ruse. The cedar up the mountain sprawled with strength that is of more. More the flowing lines of green, the song of Gabriel's horn. Sounded from the clouds in the oldest testament roar, but the people up in Skagit said they like it. And so the land was shaped by song, the mountains they did sing, and they still are trading songs to us, as morning birds would bring. We listen off the air as the wind should travel past, and the heavens looked in silence in an awe that was aghast. God's country by humans is the heaven's guilty pleasure, and by virtue of the scenery which affords its only measure. For in beauty set in peace there stands no timber taller, for its cast in concrete to its namesake ne'er should falter. For in strength the secret kept in security in heart. What did I do? Yeah, okay, that's what I wrote. That this land which Gabriel sounded sprawled to ever-growing parts, and may the people up in Skagit always like it. Well, that's what I wrote.
Awesome. Well, I was just thinking, like, so when you write poems, I guess those are potentially like pre-songs, or do you write lyrics different than poems?
I write lyrics different than poems.
Oh, okay,
yeah.
okay.
So yeah, I'm trying. Yeah, not a very good rendition of it. I should have practiced.
You blew your opportunity.
I know.
Just kidding.
I know.
Yeah. No, so when you were talking about that Puget Sound song, I was thinking you should write a song for the Skagit Valley.
There is a song for the Skagit Valley that I know.
Oh, but you didn't write it?
No.
Oh, okay.
No, it was a protest song written by Malvina Reynolds in the 1970s.
Oh.
She's a folk singer. She wrote the song "Little Boxes, Little Boxes,"
okay,
ticky-tacky. And she was a really big friend of Pete Seeger, who's like my absolute hero. I don't know if you know who Pete Seeger is.
I've heard of him. He was he like in a big band?
Yeah, he was in the Weavers.
Oh, okay. I'm thinking of someone else.
But he was
Bob Seger.
No,
that's what I'm thinking of.
Yeah, no.
Was he in the Eagles or something?
Bob Seger and the Silver Bullets were not the Eagles, but very close. No,
I do music trivia. Can't you tell? Starting Wednesdays at the Hub.
No, Pete Seeger was a folk singer in the mid 1900s, so 50s, 40s, 50s, 60s, and he died in 2013, I think.
Okay.
And he wrote songs like "If I Had a Hammer." I don't know if you've heard that song.
Yeah.
And "Where Have All the Flowers Gone?"
Okay, yeah.
And he was actually prosecuted by McCarthyism, which is when the Red Scare happened. They were looking for communists. And
Yeah.
And anyway, she was a contemporary to him.
Okay.
And I guess there was something going on with water rights in the Skagit Valley at that time.
Yeah.
And powering dams. And so it's a song about how they shouldn't power Coca-Cola coolers in Seattle by turning the Skagit Valley into a mud pond.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's actually the song I was going to play today.
Huh.
You ruined the surprise.
Sorry.
Okay.
No, I was just thinking like I was just watching this like tourism video for Skagit Valley, and I was thinking, God, you like your music should be in the background.
Yeah.
That'd be really cool.
Yeah.
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 We should make that happen.
How are the levels?
Good.
Okay.
I don't know what I'm doing. No. I'll adjust in post.
Okay. Ooh, there's a great big valley not far from Vancouver, home of the black bear, the marten, and cougar. It's a tree-rich valley where the Skagit River flows, home to God's good creature in heaven only knows. Skagit Valley, Skagit Valley, Ray Williston is selling you away. Skagit Valley, Skagit Valley, they would turn you to a mud pond to power Coca-Cola coolers in Seattle, USA. Well, the parks are getting fewer and the trees are getting thin. The city's reaching out to let the wildwood in. My sisters and brothers of this shining northern land, it's time to stand together and take each other's hand. Skagit Valley, Skagit Valley, Ray Williston is selling you away. Skagit Valley, Skagit Valley, they would turn you to a mud pond to power Coca-Cola coolers in Seattle, USA. Skagit Valley, Skagit Valley, no gang will ever claim you for a prize. Skagit Valley, Skagit Valley, no gang will ever find you, no one will ever drown you, we'll keep you as we found you. See, no, America's forest paradise.
That was awesome.
I almost said Seattle's forest paradise. That's not correct at all, folks. I'm sorry.
I love it. That's great.
Thank you.
Your guitar needs more pink, though.
It needs more pink. I agree.
Yeah.
No, this guy's called Old Fashioned.
How long have you had it?
4 years now.
Okay. How many guitars do you have?
I have 3 now.
Do you know how many Charlie has?
I don't want to think about it.
I think he has like 50.
Yeah, that's crazy. Charlie's very good, but
they're
there's
all
no
at
way he can play that many guitars.
I think they're all at his dad's house.
Yeah. Awesome.
That's funny. Cool. Yeah, so in the intro, I'll mention all your upcoming shows.
Sweet.
And Charlie just said, I love that guy. All your upcoming shows, and then we'll also announce your album release party.
Woo!
Yeah, super excited about that. And what else? You're on Spotify.
Mm-hmm.
But and so your album will also come out on Spotify.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. And you're playing this week at Station 49.
Yes.
Not that it's still come out on Friday. I'm not going to get up by Friday.
No, you're good.
If you told me that you didn't think I'd be able to get up by Friday, I would. But you're like, no, it's fine. I think that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Cascade Cody,
Yeah.
Instagram, all that stuff. I'll put all your links.
Sweet.
And come out to your shows.
Awesome.
Cool. Thanks, man.
Yeah, thank you.
That was fun. I never have an actual proper